This is Wednesday the 3rd of February 2021. I'm going to make a film now. It's a special video now for INVINCIBLE. This is a video. It's a video telling how I feel, how about what he means to me. This is a bit about how INVINCIBLE means to me, what he means to me. And this horse is very special. It's a very special horse to me and in my heart. I actually regret. I regret not going to the stud years ago before 2017, years ago, because I'm sorry I never got to know the stud years ago. I've heard of the stud years ago before 2017. He's going into his 18th season this year at the stud. He's going to be 24 on the 17th of this month, INVINCIBLE. And so sorry I never got to go to the stud. I never got to the stud years ago when he was still in his prime and he was younger, a lot younger. But he'd never guess that he's 24. You never guess by looking at him today that he's 24. He still looks as youthful as he did over 10, 15 years ago. When he was in his prime, back in his racing days. And when we first came to the stud, I know him exactly 4 years this year. On the well, it'll be the 8th of February exactly this year that we're 4 years at the stud. But I didn't get properly introduced to the horses until the following week. We were sorry, pardon, I need to get a drink, folks. Sorry, apologies. We first arrived at the stud on the 8th of February 2017. Sorry, folks. Sorry, a bit of frog in my throat. We first came to the stud in 2017 on the 8th of February, and we found the stud. We were in the Kildare village. We were looking around the shops in Kildare village back in 2017, around that time, around 2017, and we were just looking around the shops, and Liam went to the bathroom of the gents, and I happened to notice this poster on the wall it was kind of a map for the Irish National Stud, and it had all the but they laid out all the paddocks and all the Japanese gardens and where all the stallions and all that stuff like that, and all the layout and stuff, and they had the number, the address and everything. I saw the details of the Irish National Stud, and we happened to pop into one of the shops, and we asked about where the Irish National Stud was, and they told us where it was. It was less than 5 minutes away from the village. So we went down and had to look around the stud, and we were fortunately, we only made it, we were slightly late. We missed out on the horses. Apparently they were already in their stables at the time at this stage. So we only made it as far as the museum. So we managed to get some photographs in the museum, which is a small little museum that's got the Arkle skeleton in it, statue or skeleton. So we took it from photographs of the artifacts and stuff like that. And thankfully, luckily, then the following date we went, it was what they call the 12th of February. And we were fortunate to get in free. So 12th of February is when we first got introduced to the horses, and that's when I first got introduced to all the stallions and the mares' foals, and that's when I got introduced to all the horses, including INVINCIBLE and my friend Gail Force and all the other horses. But INVINCIBLE, and I saw INVINCIBLE's name on the roster. I forgot about my tea. I totally forgot about it. I saw his name on the roster I didn't know, but I heard of Invincible in his racing days, during his career, and looked at the roster, looked at the stallions. They have all the stallions and all their stuffies, and I saw his name on the list, and I couldn't believe I saw his name on the list, Invincible Spirit, and his V, and I couldn't believe that they're actually standing a legendary racehorse at the stud, at the Irish National Stud. He's one of my inspirations, this horse, a true inspiration, and I love this horse to pieces. And he was the highest stud fee at the time when he first started there, 120,000, and he was 120,000 in 2017, 2018 and 2019, and then he went down to 100 grand then last year, 2020. Now he's gone down again to 80 grand now due to the COVID. So the prices have gone down low there to the COVID now, because they're not getting many offers they're not getting as many many offers for the mare's surfaces to and they're not getting that many offers for them there's not many offers for the surfaces services for covers. There's not many offers for their surfaces and covers for mares. The breeding is not doing as well. That's probably due to the COVID as well. It's not as low. It's a low, and people are probably worried as well, concerned as well because of the COVID. So as well, you see, and but the business is still going as usual. The stud is closed at the moment. It's actually closed at the moment. It won't be open. They don't think it'll be open until at least roughly Easter. The last time you were at the stud was last September, but I know him now for before years 8th of February, 8th of this month. He was born the 17th of February 17th of February. So he was born the 17th of February 1997, and his star is Green Desert. Rafa is his dam, and I think he won 7 races. He wasn't as successful in his racing career, and he's got 18 Group 1 winners around the world. He's got 80 Group 1 winning sons around the world, and he's going into his 18th season this year in stud. And this will be his 18th season in the stud this year. And that's a very old photograph, by the way. That's one of the early photographs. I'll show you some other photographs now. Now this is him now with I think it's the Duchess of Cornwall. I think that's right. I'm not too sure. I think it's Duchess of Cornwall, and that's Camilla Parker Bowles. Camilla Parker Bowles. Sorry, I beg your pardon. We were, I think that was back in 2017. She was there, I think it was in 2017 it was around March 2017, because it was about March 10th, I think it was, and the stud was closed early. It's closed early, everyone had to go home about 4:45 or something like that, and because they had to get the stud prepared, they got it cleaned up, they had to get a marquee put up and everything else to get it prepared for her visit. They closed in early, everyone had to leave home. Everyone had to be out the stud by 4 o'clock or something. The last service, the last meal with them, there had to be out the restaurant by 2:30. The last serving of lunches was 2:30. So you had to be out of the restaurant, and had to be out the stud by 4:45. So because they were getting the stud prepared for her visit. It was a very important visit. So it was around 2017, I think that was. So it was about, I think it was about March 10th. So everyone had to be out, and they had police all over the stud all the way during the afternoon of that day, all during the afternoon of that day, to have police all around the stud, walking around the stud, in case of any bombs or anything like that, or anything like that, anything bombs or anything, if in case anything went wrong, because of all these kind of visits, something that could tend to go wrong, something could happen. So just for safety's sake, they had police all around the stud, walking around the stud all day. So this is around 2017, and this is Michael Kelly, but he's known as Daffer, and this is him now with her now with Invincible. This is by the opposite where the Mare and Foal statuette is, up by near the Living Legends paddock there. The Living Legends paddock is up there on the left, just up here at the left. So that's where they're standing at the moment. It's a very old photograph. And he's now since retired. Now he left. He's now retired a month. He's now retired last January now, a year ago. He's now a year retired now. He's now retired a year this month. Yeah. So we've got a ton of frog in my throat. Sorry, folks. So I go to the next page now. This is him now with Patrick Diamond. Now this is another photograph. Now I'm not too sure when this was taken. Now this is probably more recent photograph. I think this is more recent. I think this is around, God, I can't remember, I think it's about 2016 or roughly around that time, or 2017 or 2018. It's a very recent photograph. I can't remember exactly when that's taken, but it's a lovely photograph, as you can see, of Invincible. It's a lovely photo. It's a nice pose. It's actually a lovely pose of Invincible. It's a great pose. It's great. As you can see, he's very, very photogenic, and you can see yourself looking at the photographs. You never think he was the age he is. You never guess he was 24. You never think he was 24 at all. He hasn't aged a bit. He still looks as youthful as ever. Still looks as youthful. This is his statue now. This is Invincible statue. It was unveiled in 2019. They were giving us so many dates. It was giving us so many dates of when this was going to be unveiled. So many dates. It was going to be around April of that year. Then it was going to be September. Then it was going to be around the winter, about the autumn, and then it wasn't. Then it was. I think it was before Christmas. I can't remember. I think it was around. I think it was September. I think it was eventually September. Sorry, I think it was eventually September that it was unveiled, roughly September, and and I did a kind of a tribute video outside by the statue as well, and I got a like for it from the actual sculpture. The actual sculpture that made the statue sent me a like on on Twitter. So there you go. I'm not really a big fan of that statue, by the way. And this is a lovely photograph of one of the handlers, one of the stallion men with Invincible. It's a lovely photo of Invincible. Now this is a more recent photograph as well. Presumably this must be 2 or 3 years ago. These things were roughly 2 or 3 years ago. This was taken. This is one of the, must be at least one in, I think it's going to be near the paddocks area. This one near the paddocks area. I think somewhere near the paddocks. This is again in the stables area. This is another one of them. Daffer now again. This is another old photograph. I don't know. There's no dates on where these photos were taken. I think this is quite an old one as well. It's only a few years. I think it's a few years old as well. This is obviously one of the old uniforms. This must be quite an old photograph. It must be at least probably before we came to the stud. Probably that was taken. This is another one. This is a headshot of Invincible. Another headshot. I'm not sure when that was taken. These are all probably taken before we came to the stud. Now these are probably old photographs. There's another shot of Invincible there. And this is probably, that's a very old photograph now, because you can see the wood in the doors. The wood is a lot lighter, because the wood nowadays it's a lot darker. The wood's a lot darker now in Staples. You can see the wood there is a lot lighter wood. The wood's a lot lighter, and it's a lot darker now. The wood's a lot darker now, so that's obviously a very old photograph. That was years, that's probably good for years before we came to the store that was taken. That's a lovely shot. That's a lovely shot of Invincible now. But you can see he's very photogenic. Still, he's a beautiful horse. You can see yourself. He doesn't look his age at all, and he's a magnificent horse, and he's a true legend. This horse, he's incredible. He's just he's a true legend. Absolute legend, you know, and he's the one that's keeping the stuff going, like he's the one that's keeping the place going, like he's paying us after all his fee. He's the highest stud fee. He's actually still the highest stud fee, even though his fee's gone down. He's still the highest stud fee, and he's paying all the staff's wages. He's keeping that stuff going. Like all his money is paying the income of the stud. It's all his money that's paying all the income of the stud. You know, without Invincible, that stud wouldn't be doing so well. It wouldn't do as well. You know, wouldn't do so well if Invincible wasn't around. So they need to keep him alive as long as possible. So without Invincible, stud wouldn't do so well. You know, so hopefully he'll live for a good long time yet. It's a lovely shot of him here now. And you can see he's very, very athletic. He's a very athletic horse. This is another one here now of him by his statue. He's looking at himself. He's looking at himself now. This is himself now looking at the statue. He's very curious on what this thing is. Wondering what this is, what he's looking at. He doesn't realise he's looking at himself. I don't think he realises that he's looking at himself. That's himself. He's looking at himself there. That's him looking at himself. And the statue, as you can see, it doesn't even look a thing like him. Doesn't even look a thing like him at all now. We never think that was Invincible at all. It doesn't look a thing like Invincible. Not a thing like him at all now. And that's him in his stable. Now that's the more recent one, because you see the wood's you see that the wood is dark. It's darker wood, so that's a more recent photograph. That must mean that's a more recent one as well, because they have because that's the way they have the details on the doors. You see the details on the doors, they have the details like that on the doors now. You see, because the old days they had more details. They had more detail on the door. See that's the way that the details now. You see, they had more detail on the doors in the early days. They had everything. They had more detail on their racing career. They had more writing on the doors in the early days. That's what they have it nowadays. And that's another one who looking at the statue. Yeah. Now this is him now with Paul Croak. Now this is another stallion. This is the head stallion man here now. This is the head stallion man, Paul Croak. Now when we first met, when I first met Paul, we didn't always hit it off very well. But we're starting to get on very well. But he wouldn't say hello, Tanya. He wouldn't say her name when he say hello. He used to say hello. But he wouldn't say hello, Tanya. He wouldn't say hello, Liam. He wouldn't say hi, Liam. Hi, Tanya. He'd say hi. And you know, he'd be friendly enough. He'd be friendly enough to us. He'd say hi, how are you? You know, but he wouldn't say our names. But at first we didn't hit it off. You know, we didn't hit off very well at the beginning when we first started going to the stud. We always found him a bit. He didn't find his attitude very nice at all at the beginning, but we're starting to get closer to him now. He's starting to kind of soften up a bit, and we're getting on a lot better now. And he's actually quite nice. He's actually quite a nice gentleman. He's probably not nicer than the other guy. But this is him now with Invincible. I think this is a more recent photograph. I'm not too sure when this is taken now. Must be 2 years, 3 years old. See the photographs aren't dated. See, they're not dated at all. These photographs are not dated at all now. See, if they were dated, it'd be making it a lot easier for me. You know, if they're dated, it'd be a lot easier, and then I'd be able to explain to you a bit better. Now this is This must be at least 2018, 2017, or maybe before we came to the stud that this was taken. So probably before we came to the stud, probably 2 years before we came to the stud that was taken, probably. This is a lovely photograph of him now. That's a lovely photograph of him now. Very nice photograph. And that's a nice one too. As you can see, the hat. You probably noticed the hat. It's the exact same as mine. I have a hat exactly the same as that. Now that's the Gale Force 10 hat that the man's wearing. I had the exact same hat as that. It's just the Gale Force 10 hat. I got those as presents from Caroline, this girl at the reception. She gave me those hats as presents. She gave me one of the Gale Force, and she gave me a Free Eagle hat. She gave me a Free Eagle, and she gave me that one, the Gale Force 10 hats. And they're very warm. Keep you looking warm, keep your ears looking warm. So if you're looking at that photograph and see that hat, you know, that's a recent photograph. You know, by looking at that, that's a very recent photograph. So that's obviously very recent, because that hat, see, because they didn't have those hats a few years back. These are only just brand new. They just come black. They're just brand new hats. So you know, by looking at that, that's a very recent photograph. You know, that's a very recent photograph. By looking at that hat, I know that's a recent photograph. And you know, by looking at that jacket, but they didn't have those jackets years ago either. So so this is more recent photograph. This is probably one of the stallion trails. One of the stallion trails. Or Leslie was on show. It's probably on show in that photograph, because they often have the stallions on show. They just put them on show. Like sometimes they have these people, they have these business people. They often have these business people come to the stud and check out the stallions. Look around the stud and check out the stallions. Check them out. You know, if they want to look for the services to cover mares. You know, look for business. You know, for looking for services to cover mares. You know, they want to check out these stallions. So they have them on show sometimes. You know, so people come out and check them out, see who they like. You know, who they would choose for their mares. You know, to cover with. So stallion would suit them. Stallion, do you think would they like to? Who would they approve of to cover with one of their mares? So